Hi everyone, this is Root and this is a comprehensive guide to beating the Resourceful Rat Hitless. The Resourceful Rat is the most complicated fight in all of the Gungeon. As such, this video will be broken up into 6 parts. I'll start with how to reach the rat, then I'll do a segment for each phase of the rat fight, then I'll commentate a full run of the rat fight, and then the last segment will be about the rewards gotten from the fight. Here are the timestamps to skip ahead, in case you already know how to get to the fight, or just want to see a specific phase of the boss. The rat is a well-known menace in Gungeon runs. It constantly steals your items when you aren't in the room, and can take the contents of a chest before you even open it. It's detested by every Gungeoneer, and is always a great annoyance. But this annoyance can be eliminated. The rat can only be accessed after you've bought the Prime Primer and forged the bolt that can kill the past, but that's a whole process on its own. After you've done that, the Nod key will show up where the Prime Primer used to be, in the floor 2 shop. The key will cost 1,000 shells at first, but you can chip away at the cost of the key over various runs, and after you buy it the first time, it'll cost only 115 shells in future runs. I'd recommend either visiting the oubliette to get more shells, or saving all your money from the first and second floor for it. After you get the key, you'll need to bring it to the 3rd floor. In one of the rooms on the 3rd floor, you'll find normal rats scurrying about on the floor. These can be hard to spot if you aren't looking for them, so be sure to keep an eye out while you're clearing the 3rd floor. The room that you find the rats in will have a trapdoor hidden under dust somewhere in the room, and the trapdoor's location can be found by paying attention to the dust clouds you kick up as you walk around. When you walk over the trapdoor, the dust clouds will be larger. Once you've found where the trapdoor is, you'll have to keep walking over it until it's fully revealed. Alternatively, if you have a gun or item that spreads fluid on the ground, that can instantly reveal the trapdoor, which saves some hassle. The trapdoor requires a normal key to open, so if you don't have a key on you, keep exploring the 3rd floor until you find a shop, as every shop will have at least 1 key for sale. There's no rush to open the trapdoor either, so feel free to fight the 3rd floor boss. If you do fight the 3rd floor boss, you'll have to be careful to keep at least 2 blanks on you, since after you open the trapdoor, you'll need 2 blanks to access the next trapdoor. You'll want to walk to the end of the rail, and then use your first blank. Dodge roll into the newly uncovered area, and then use another blank, which will reveal the final trapdoor. Any items or guns that produce blank effects will work here as well, and if you only have 1 blank, but have an armor, you can fall into the pit next to the rail to destroy the first fake wall, and use your blank for the second. Technically, you could use another armor to destroy the second fake wall, but you'd have to damage yourself in this area, as falling into the pit won't break the second fake wall. Those are edge cases though, so just try to keep 2 blanks. After you pass the second fake wall, you'll use the Nod key you bought earlier to open the trapdoor, and you'll enter the Resourceful Rat's lair. There's an intermediary area here, and I'm not sure why it exists, but all you do is jump into this pit. Now we've come to the final step of accessing the rat, which is the maze. Ironically, the rat itself is actually the key to finding the way through the maze. As you progress through the game, the rat will leave notes in chests. You have to meet these conditions for the notes to appear, and while 5 of the notes are found in normal chests, the 6th note will always be found in a mimic. The notes are infuriating, but they do have a purpose. Once picked up, they can be viewed from the Ammonomicon, and they all have a wedge of cheese on the bottom that points in one of 4 directions. The rat will leave no more than 6 notes, and once you've collected all of them, the direction the wedge of cheese is pointing on the bottom of the note, will give you the directions you'll need to traverse the maze. The route through the maze is different for every installation of the Gungeon, with the exception of the Switch version, where the route will always be down, right, down, up, down, up. Regardless, once you've gotten all 6 notes, I'd memorize the route, as it will always be the same for future runs. You'll have to fight rooms of enemies in the maze, though some rooms can be empty, and one room even has 2 chance skins that could spawn. If you follow the route correctly, you'll find yourself in this room, which will always contain 2 full hearts, 1 ammo box, and 1 spread ammo box. The rat fight starts when you enter the arena above, and now that all the lead up is finally over, it's time to talk about how to beat the rat. The first phase of the rat has 6 attacks. The rat will always start phase 1 with a cheese summoning attack. It'll stand in the center, and 3 waves of cheese will converge on it. For this attack, you can either walk through the gaps in the cheese, or roll through it. If you're going to roll through it, stand either to the left or the right of the rat, and roll through each wave as it comes at you. After all the rings have converged, the rat will jump up and spray out cheese bullets everywhere. If you go into a corner, you'll have the most time to react to the attack, and roll through it when it gets near. Another way to dodge this is to open your gun menu right before the cheese bullets fly everywhere, so that you can see the trajectories of the bullets in slow motion, and then close the gun menu and move out of the way. This technique is more consistent for me than the other one. It can also spray out mousetraps that will hurt you if you step on them. They go away when you blank, but otherwise they're a hazard that will stay for the rest of the fight. The mousetraps can be disarmed if you roll on them in a certain way, but I would focus on just trying to avoid them. Poison will occasionally spawn from the center of each quadrant, which is another area hazard that has to be played around. I haven't been able to find any proof or numbers, but from experience, one poison puddle will spawn for each quarter of health the rat has lost. The kunai attack is where the rat will rapidly throw 2 spreads of kunai, with the red lines showing you where the kunai will be thrown. The spread of kunai will be farther apart the closer you are to the rat. They're fast and hard to dodge, and there are 2 ways to dodge this attack. The first way is to fit in between the red lines without dodge rolling, or you can roll perpendicular to the lines at just the right moment to get out of the way. Which method you should use depends on the situation. If you see a gap that you can fit in, go for it, but if not, you'll have to roll. The rat can also shoot out 2 expanding spirals of cheese, which can be dodged 3 ways. If you're in the bottom right, you don't even have to dodge roll, you can just move slowly from right to left. You can also roll inwards through both spirals at once if you aren't in the bottom right when the attack starts, but the timing for this is precise. You can also roll slightly away twice through each spiral, and while that method is more consistent for me than rolling inwards, it takes some practice. One of the rat's simpler attacks is where it makes a whip that rotates clockwise around it. All you have to do is move counterclockwise and roll through the whip. In general, the best place to be standing during the rat fight is in the bottom right, as that gives you the most time to react to both the cheese spiral and whip attack. After the rat dies, it'll jump into a hole in the middle of the arena, and if you jump down with it, the next phase begins. Before you advance though, set up your quick swap so that you can swap between a gun that's good for single target damage and a gun that can deal with crowds of low health enemies, for reasons I'll explain later. For phase 2 of the rat fight, the rat gets into a giant stationary mech. In my opinion, phase 2 of the rat is harder than phase 1, as it not only has more than double the health of phase 1, but it also has 9 attacks, as compared to the 6 from phase 1. The general area you'll want to be in is below the mech, about halfway between the mech and the wall. I'll be referring to this as the center from now on. This is the best place to be, as it's a great spot to dodge all of the mech's attacks from. Staying on the sides is dangerous, as many of the mech's attacks can be hard to dodge from the side, with the worst being the magic circles, as they'll appear from the sides very quickly. I'll start with the easier to dodge attacks and work up to the hardest. First is the single laser. The mech will shoot a laser across the arena, and leave a thin line of fire in its wake. This attack cannot be sidestepped, you must dodge roll to avoid it. Thankfully, you can dodge roll in pretty much any direction when the laser gets close to you, and you'll avoid the attack. Make sure to watch out for the flames while you're dodging the other attacks. When you see the mech jump up in the air, that means it's about to shoot out 3 waves of bullets. To avoid this, press up against the back wall and roll into it as the waves of bullets get near you. After you roll the first time, you should be able to spam roll and dodge the other 2 waves. After rolling into the wall 3 times, that attack is dodged. Third is rat minions. The mech can spawn minions in the arena that will chase you around. They can't shoot, but they can deal contact damage if they get close. These minions are why I said to have a crowd control gun on quick swap, as they have very low health. The minions by themselves aren't a danger, but if you don't kill them quick enough, they'll stay around for the mech's other attacks, which makes them much harder to dodge. Giant circles. This attack looks like a lot, but it's always the same, so once you learn the pattern, it'll be easy. If you're near the sides of the arena, the circles will come out too quickly to be dodged, so try to stay near the center of the arena whenever you're able to. There are many ways to go about this attack, but the best I've found is to stay in the middle near the mech, and then roll into the circle on the top right. When you stay in a circle for too long, a ring of bullets will close in on you, but as long as you roll through the ring in the same direction the circle's going, you should be fine. You'll have to repeat this a couple times, but by the time you reach the top left of the arena, the attack will end, and you can walk back to the center. Side stomp. The mech will only use the side stomp attack if you're in the top left or top right of the boss arena, so this attack can be prevented by staying in the center as much as you can. If you find yourself in the top right or top left of the arena anyways, stick close to the side wall, as the bullets from the attack shoot out quickly near the mech, but slow down greatly as they travel. If you're right next to the wall, you can walk around the bullets well out of the way. If you're next to the mech, I would blink if you have one, as it's a tough position to get out of without getting hit otherwise. The next 4 attacks are the ones that give me the most trouble, and these attacks are what I would save your blanks for. Multi-lasers. The multi-laser attack surprisingly involves multiple lasers. The lasers themselves can't hurt you, but the fire and bullets they spawn can. You can just walk around and avoid the bullets as they fly towards you, but if you're having trouble, I would go to the back wall and run horizontally back and forth across it, rolling whenever a bullet is near you or when you're on fire. Spamming roll along the back wall isn't perfect, but it should do the job in most cases. Railgun. The railgun attack is a 2-part attack. For the first part, the mech will spawn a crosshair on top of itself, and the crosshair will home in on the player. The crosshair will rotate counterclockwise as it chases you. If you're in the center when the attack starts, you'll want to take this route, and roll through the prongs of the crosshair when they get near you. After 6 seconds of chasing you, the crosshair will stop and shrink in on itself, and a bomb will drop from the sky that releases a large wave of bullets out. To dodge this, roll towards where the bomb dropped. The timing is somewhat tight for this. The crosshair attack can be prevented by destroying the railgun on the mech, but it can be tricky to aim for, so I just ignore it and focus on shooting the mech as a whole. If you do destroy the railgun being destroyed will deal some extra damage to the mech. Missiles. Missiles are the hardest attack for me to avoid. The mech will shoot out missiles that split into 6 bullets when they impact a wall. If there's any attack to blank, it's this one. For your best shot, I'd run against the back wall and move from either left to right or right to left in one continuous motion. You might have to stop hugging the wall if a bullet from a split missile will hit you, but once you leave the wall, you'll just have to dodge the bullets as best you can. The missiles are shot from a drum on the right side of the mech, so you can prevent this attack by destroying the drum. Similar to the railgun, destroying the drum will deal some extra damage to the mech. Scratch. The scratch attack is a rare attack, and one that you probably won't see often. It involves the mech shooting a row of bullets with a gap in the middle at the player. The mech only uses this attack when both the railgun and the missile drum have been destroyed. But I think this attack is harder to dodge than the railgun attack, so I would leave the railgun untouched since it can be dodged easier. If you do find yourself facing this attack, put your back against the wall and move through the gap in the middle of the bullets, and roll towards the mech near the end of the attack. It's possible to go around the rows entirely, but I wasn't able to do it consistently. Those are all 9 attacks the mech can unleash. It'll take a while to learn all of them, but with enough practice it can be done. It's important to make your way to the center of the arena as soon as you're done dodging other attacks. Dodge enough attacks, and you'll progress to the final phase. The third phase of the rat fight is unlike any other boss fight in the game. It's based off of the game Punch-Out, and your control options are left punch, dodge left, dodge right, block, duck, and super punch. You'll have 2 minutes to beat the rat, and the timer starts when you throw the first punch. If you thought the last phase had a lot of attacks with 9, this phase has 11 attacks and 3 sub-phases. The attacks in this phase are much easier to deal with than the last phase, but the timing will still take practice to get down. Losing this phase doesn't actually make you lose the game. As you beat up the rat, it'll drop loot and rat keys, which can be used to get more loot. You win the fight by beating all 3 sub-phases, and lose if you either lose all your health or the timer runs out. The health in the Punch-Out phase is independent from the health in the rest of the game. As long as you beat the fight, there's no difference in rewards, so it doesn't matter if you have a sliver of health or full health when you win. Beating the rat in this phase involves timing and practice. Unfortunately, if you just try constantly punching, the rat will block your attacks. If you keep trying to punch it, you'll get exhausted and lose control of your character for a moment. If you attack after the rat does a move, you can punch up to 6 times by alternating left and right punch quickly. You can do Super Punch when you have at least 1 star. You get a star by punching the rat when it flashes yellow, which also stuns the rat. You can collect up to 3 stars. A Super Punch does more damage than a normal punch, and the damage scales with the amount of stars you have. You lose the stars whenever you Super Punch or get hit. An important reward from the rat fight is a rat key. Rat keys are used to open rat chests in the reward chamber, and they have great loot in them. You can get a maximum of 6 rat keys from the fight, but for most runs, 4 keys should be good enough. The criteria for getting each key are as follows. Start the rat fight, end the green phase with a Super Punch, end the yellow phase with a Super Punch, end the red phase with a Super Punch, win the fight, and finally end every phase with a 3-star Super Punch. The green phase consists of 3 moves. Taunt. The rat will laugh at you and will yellow flash at the end. I wait for this move to get stars during this phase. The taunt can't hurt you physically, but the contempt the rat feels towards you will hurt you emotionally. Single punch. There's a yellow flash before the punch, but I don't try to hit the flash since the taunt flash is much easier to hit. So just block this one. Uppercut. There's no flash for this attack, but it can be dodged by blocking. For the green phase, focus on blocking the uppercut and the single punch, and try to get a superstar by hitting the yellow flash and the taunt. If either the green phase or the yellow phase is ended with a super punch, in between phases the rat will always attack with the Casey bat. It can be easily stopped by blocking, and you can't attack it after this move. The yellow phase has none of the attacks that the green phase has, and introduces 4 new ones. First is Combo Punch. The rat will punch 3 times in succession, and then uppercut. Block the first punch, and then hit the yellow flash on the second punch. Lunge. The rat will go back and throw itself forward. Right before it hits you, there's a yellow flash, but I wouldn't go for this one. This is dodged by ducking. Tail whip. The rat spins and hits with his tail. This can be stopped by blocking. You can stun the rat if you hit it right before it hits you, but it doesn't give a star. Heal. The rat eats some cheese and regains some health. It can do this a maximum of twice per phase. The heal can be stopped if you use a right punch at a specific moment, and it will give a star even though there's no flash. If you mess up the timing on hitting the cheese out of the rat's hand, it'll punch you back for a very small amount of health and won't get rid of your stars. The red phase has all the attacks the yellow phase has, plus 3 new ones. Brass Knuckles. The rat will spin its arm 3 times, and there's a yellow flash at the top of the third spin. Hitting the flash is the only way to avoid taking damage during this attack, so learning this timing is key. Pirouette. The rat will charge up and then spin 4 times. All 4 spins can be blocked, and after the 4 spins, the rat will be stunned. Right before its first spin, there's a flash. I would go for this flash, as there's a lot of windup to prepare you for it. Ammo Toss. The rat jumps back and throws an ammo box at you. You can hit the ammo box back. Since this attack only happens in the last phase, a hidden threat to this attack is that it wastes a lot of time, where you can't hit the rat. If you don't hit the box back, you can duck under it. The punch-out part of the rat fight is so different from any other part of the Gungeon that really the only way to get better at it is to fight the rat over and over again until you get the timing down. I would try to end every sub-phase with a super punch, but don't go for ending each phase with a 3-star punch unless you really want the 6th key. 4 or 5 keys is plenty for most runs. With that said, that is everything you need to know to beat the rat hitless. My next segment will be me commentating a full rat fight I've done. My 2 guns on quick swap are the Sunlight Javelin and the Bundle of Wands. For this, just roll through it. When it starts to split, I get to the corner and then try to walk around them. That put me in the bottom left though, which is a bad place to be because the whip can catch you unaware. After this cheese attack, just go underneath it, right to left. Try and walk between the kunai. With the kunai, since there's a wider spread the closer you are, I try to walk close to the rat in between the spreads, or in between the kunai throws, so that the spread is farther apart. Thankfully, Bundle of Wands does his face pretty quick, and that's that done. I set up a crowd control gun prior to even starting the first phase, so that's why I didn't set it up before I started the second phase. I skipped the cutscene, because I'm in a rush. I'm using my Sunlight Javelin instead of the Bundle of Wands because I'm saving my Bundle of Wands ammo for the rat minions. And I target the missile style because that's the missile drum because that's the hardest attack for me. Although it's important to note that while it's good to aim for the missile drum, you should keep your eyes on your character instead of focusing on aiming for the drum. Missile attack, just go right to left. Crosshair comes out, and thankfully I'm in a good position so I can take the route that I detailed earlier. Kind of like a weird candy cane. Single laser comes out, just roll. Really the dangerous part of the laser is the fire it leaves on the ground, because it can mess up dodging for other attacks. Another single laser. And yeah, I catch on fire from the other laser. I didn't get the right route for that one, so almost a close call. I swapped back to my Bundle of Wands because I thought that maybe it was higher DPS, but then I remembered I had to save ammo, so I just swapped back to Sunlight Javelin. Magic Circles attack easy as long as you get in on the top right and then just follow it around the arena. I'm not aiming for the railgun because if I destroy the railgun, I'd have to deal with the scratch attack, and since I find the railgun easier, I'd want to leave the railgun alive. I can also use the water coolant from the robot to destroy the rat minions, which is really helpful. And also, if there's a single rat minion left, you can just roll over it instead of having to shoot it. Side Stomp came out. I think that's the only one that came out this fight because I am usually pretty good about sticking to the center. And yeah, reminder always to try and stay in the center as much as you can. Another Magic Circle attack, same thing, just stay in the middle area and then roll into the top right circle and then follow that circle around the arena. And that's phase 2. Third phase, just right at the bat, punch the rat 6 times. Duck under that. You can duck or block those. Duck that. Get some hits in. Waiting for a taunt, really, so I can get a superstar. That's why I'm not attacking the rat for this, because I want to leave it health to the taunt. Oh, there's the taunt. So I got the superstar, and then I finished it with a superstar punch. Block the Casey bat. Combo move is great. Super easy to star. So I get the stun second punch, block the tail whip, get 6 punches in. Dodge that attack, get another super punch in, and then block the Casey. Once you know this fight, you can really breeze through it. I got a little anxious here, so I just decided to block all 4 attacks. Timing on that is tight, and you gotta use your right punch, but that's a nice way to stop him from healing and also get a star. This time I managed to hit the superstar, and then I finished it with a superstar punch. This fight took a lot of tries. But I'm glad it's done. And now I get my reward. I can do 6-star phase 3. Or sorry, not 6-star. 6-key phase 3 fights, but 5-key is good for most runs. And there's a huge difficulty gap between 5-key and 6-key. And yeah, that's the rat fight. Next I'll be talking about the rewards. Regardless of whether you win or lose phase 3, you'll get rewards. After you pick up the loot that's dropped around the arena, you can drop down the hole beneath the mech and get even more loot on pedestals. There are 4 rat chests in the back, and they can be mimics, so be sure to shoot them before you get close just to check. If you have the Mimic's Tooth necklace, they are actually guaranteed to not be mimics. The rat chests will contain the same 4 items every run, with those items being the Elementaler, partially eaten cheese, resourceful sack, and rat boots. The partially eaten cheese is good in particular, as when you use it, you become. These items are all amazing, and although the rat fight is incredibly complicated and hard to master, the rewards make it worth it. Getting all 4 items will activate the Resourceful Indeed synergy, which turns the character model into the rat. If you either beat the rat in phase 3, or get the Resourceful Indeed synergy, the rat will no longer steal items that are left behind in rooms. If you already have an item that would be found in a rat chest, the item will be replaced with another A or S tier item. Rat keys can also be used to access the snake and the shortcut elevator. The snake has 2 gates to access it, but you really only need to open 1 gate, as you can drop items to the snake through the 2nd gate. You need to give it 4 items to awaken it. The snake is for the advanced dragon, which is a guide for another time. In short, don't awaken the snake unless you want a much harder dragon fight. The shortcut elevator needs 1 rat key to unlock and takes you directly to the 5th floor. If you don't have any rat keys for the shortcut elevator, you can take the elevator to the 4th floor for free. These rewards all pale in comparison to the real reward. If you do beat the rat in phase 3, you can listen to its life story before it dies, and then exact glorious retribution by kicking the rat's corpse around the arena. And then feed it to the snake for good measure.